My name's Ned Jerzyk,
I'm Harry Steinmetz.
and we're here to talk to you today about the issue of consent to search. You may have an occasion, whether you're sitting in a car, whether you're walking down the street with a backpack or a briefcase or a bag or a purse, or you're at your front door of your house and somebody's knocking on the front door and you encounter a police officer who's maybe investigating a crime, and he's going to ask if it's okay to search something.
Because consent is golden to a police officer. Once they have consent, they can go through everything that you have. That's why, really, you don't want to give them consent.
Now, in the context of a car, a police officer may have pulled you over and has a suspicion or a hunch that perhaps you're up to something no good. He may say that he sees you making furtive movements in the car, or sees you acting or behaving suspiciously or appearing nervous.
Now, furtive movements is a legal term. Most people don't understand. It basically means doing something that looks a little suspicious that causes the police officer to think, oh my God, he's hiding something, or oh my God, he's got a weapon. You never want to do that. That's why hands on the steering wheel is always the best approach.
Or, hands on the dashboard if you're a passenger, hands on your knees. Don't be moving and rooting around the passenger cabin of a vehicle to give that officer an additional reason to believe that he needs to search your car.
I just had a recent case where the client, actually it's the client's boyfriend, was reaching into his waistband. And I think he was hiding something he didn't want the police officers to find, but reaching into the waistband gave the officer a reason to be concerned, pulls him out of the car at gunpoint, pats him down, lo and behold, guess what he found?
And the same goes for the passenger compartment of your vehicle. If the officer asks, hey, can I search your car? The answer in every instance needs to be no. I recently had a case where the officer had pulled my client out of the vehicle under some suspicious circumstances, asked to search the truck. My client gave consent, and behind the bench seat was a .22 caliber rifle my client didn't know was in the truck. A relative of his had used the truck earlier and had left the rifle there. My client wasn't supposed to have a gun. That gave rise to a criminal charge and puts you way behind the eight ball in trying to explain now why you have a gun in the car. If he'd have just said no, you can't search, there would have never been a case.
And that's exactly the reason why you always want to say no. Now, moving on away from the car, you're at your front door, and the police officer knocks and says, Mr. Jones, we'd like to come in and search your house, or we'd like to step in and talk to you. Either one of those two things gets them into the house where they can at least do a visual search.
And it may also be a case where if you refuse a search, the police officer may be aggressive, may try to be intimidating, may say, well, why won't you let me search? What are you trying to hide? You don't have to engage in that kind of conversation. You don't have to engage in that kind of behavior and have your life interrupted. You can simply say, look, officer, no. I would strongly suggest that you be polite and professional. No one wants to be told they're doing their job wrong or how to do their job or what they can do at their job. So just a simple, polite, no, sir, should be sufficient.
Now, if you do decide to give them consent, the police are required to give you what are called farrier warnings. And farrier warnings are exactly what they sound like. It's a warning that if they find something, then they can use that against you.
And the farrier warning, if it's in the context of a vehicle or the search of a home, also says that you can limit how extensive the search is. So if a police officer wants to search your car, but there's a purse in your car that's full of some private items that you don't want the officer to look at, you can actually exclude items in the car from the search. And the same goes for your house.
If you want to tell the cop, you can look around the living room, but that's it. You can do that. That's perfectly legal. And the police officer is limited to the scope of the consent that you've given.
And you also have the right to withdraw that consent at any time, which then means the police officer has to stop. If you believe the encounter is just going on too long, if you have other business or other matters to attend to, you can simply say, look, the search is over. I'm withdrawing my consent, and the police officer has to agree and stop searching.
Yes. But the bottom line is, just say no.